Delitza De La Rosa,
Elia Garza,
Reese Mabry,
Jessica Mabry.
Floyd Mabry.
Cheryl Mabry.
I am from Oklahoma, where I stand a 1 in 246 chance of being a victim of a violent crime. But I live in Tulsa, where I am twice as likely to be a violent crime victim. And because of my color, I am 20 times more likely to be killed by a police officer as I am by a criminal of my own race. Police brutality is defined by the Law Dictionary as the use of excessive and or unnecessary force by police when dealing with civilians. Recently, this force has become a trend all around the United States, typically targeting minorities. Cases like Michael Brown in Ferguson and Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, are examples of cases that have angered America. But on September 16, 2016, we all had to face the harsh reality of police brutality right here in Tulsa, when Terrence Kutcher was shot and killed by a police officer. When will enough be enough? Today, I will be addressing the known issue of police brutality and propose a policy that will end this ongoing issue. According to the Los Angeles Times, when African Americans and Latinos are stopped and questioned by the police, they are more likely to be seriously injured or killed than their white counterparts drawn into similar encounters with the police. But why is it that minorities are the trending prey for police officers? In the words of Dan Brown, a famous American author, we fear what we do not understand. Many people believe this trend in targeting minorities is due to officers simply being more afraid of people that don't look like them. Throughout history, crime has been associated with race, which is a contributing factor to these stereotypes. For example, when George W. Bush Sr. ran for president, he released a campaign ad that displayed the mugshot of a black man, William Thornton, who was released from a penitentiary for a weekend in Massachusetts and raped a woman. Within this advertisement, Bush stated that if you didn't vote for him, they would see a lot more cases such as Horton's. This type of language presented a black man as an ongoing threat and danger to people sitting in their living rooms with their families. Imagine the talks that fathers had with their little girls that night. By associating danger with the color, Bush's campaign caused Americans to feel threatened by people of a different race. Why would police officers feel any different or any less threatened than the rest of America? On the other hand, why should America be so afraid of an entire race based off of the actions of one individual that made a poor decision? Unfortunately, examples of such exploitation continues to take place within America on a daily basis, which adds fuel to an ongoing fire that's already ablaze. Alternate.com concludes that in most police brutality cases, there have been a complex and volatile mix of factors involving race, police fear, and questionable training that is contributing to the yet growing number of deaths each year. Knowing that police officers could possibly be dealing with this form of racial fear, one might assume that there would be a policy, that there would be some form of training in place to guard them from making irrational decisions while in the line of fire. So, exactly what kind of psychological tests and training are taking place during the hiring process? According to the U.S. Department of Justice, police officers are only qualified to take 4 hours of bias crimes training and must only score an 85% before being accepted onto the force. How is this enough training on the known biases and hate crimes of 10 associated with most Americans? Is this minimal effort being put forth within the system really benefiting anyone? How is such a small amount of training an officer to understand the cultural differences between them and other civilians actually helping them to serve and protect a predominantly Black or Latino community? With officers receiving questionable training on how to deal with minorities, as well as being pressured by the media to associate minority races with only crimes, how do you expect for them to react when approached by minorities? It is evident that the only way to change the outcome is to elevate the type of education received by officers within the hiring process. While attending 3.5 Minutes, 10 Bullets, an event put on by Moms Demand Action at the Cinema Circle, the panel discussed a few ways in which Tulsa can change police brutality. Dr. Art Williams, a psychotherapist and known activist from Tulsa, further explains, we need our police to have extensive trauma-informed training so that police will understand that they're dealing with people that have a lot of trauma that can easily be triggered. For example, when a minority sees the police and instinctively runs, that doesn't mean that that person is automatically guilty. That could simply mean that they had a sibling or close relative that was wrongly killed by a police officer. So now, they fear even coming into contact with the police, especially alone. That person that ran from the police, in their mind, was probably running to safety, which would be a place where witnesses are present, which is an example of a trauma trigger that would never have taken place had the officer used precaution when approaching someone of such a demographic to keep the person from running. Another form of training that needs to be implemented is de-escalating crisis intervention training. According to the New York Police Department news, the New York Police Department is introducing CIT, or Crisis Intervention Team Training. The New York Police Department news is introducing The New York Police Department news goes on to say, CIT involves police officers using crisis communication techniques to assist people in crisis situations. It is based on listen, assist, collaborate, and promotes the use of active listening skills and demonstrating empathy in order to gain voluntary compliance. The use of those skills also increases safe outcomes for everyone involved. If all police officers at the Tulsa Police Department were required to receive this CIT training, the officers would be able to de-escalate situations that include minorities. This form of training will most likely present officers with a different alternative to drawing their guns when coming into contact with minorities and even people with mental instability. Police brutality has recently become an extremely urgent issue due to all the recent shootings taking place around America. I propose that Tulsa Police Department implement more bias training so that they understand crisis intervention team training, as New York has done, so that they understand how to de-escalate encounters with minorities instead of resulting to shooting. Furthermore, TPD needs to enforce trauma-informed training so that they understand how to deal with people that have been made into the other or thing that feels they are going to be eradicated on a daily basis due to American society. The issue of police brutality needs to be addressed immediately before another innocent life is taken. Thank you.
Oh.